Um, okay, here we are, streaming live on Facebook. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the F Show. Cultural icons, heritage, customs, traditions, language, and idioms that relate to storytelling in the Ashanti Ubuntu. Did you all know that the Kardashians will be around for 20 years, which is another kind of cultural icon? Our guests are elders who upkeep our heritage, professors who support artists, artists who fight for their rights, and heritage writers and journalists who also produce and create arts and cultural images, academics who ensure that our heritage is taught and understood, and film producers who bring actors and stories to the global audience. So I welcome you, my guests from all over the world, for us to have a wonderful chat about heritage, arts, and culture. Today in South Africa, we celebrate Heritage Day. It used to be Shaka's Day, and there has been some conversation in South Africa about whether we are sanitizing the day, whether indeed we should be still talking about our cultural icons, or whether, as we do in the new South Africa, it has become somewhat of a bride day. And Sis Florence, I'm going to put you in the hot spot when I ask you about Jerusalem, which is what we've all been dancing all day today. But before we go there, I'd like Justine to just show a few clips for us. Please, Justine.
I'll just take you to learn more about African indigenous knowledge that my grandmother passed it generation to generation. Happy Heritage Month.
Thank you, Justine. And then we'll just show the clips that we had of all the different heritage in South Africa. And we could go through them. And then, as we know that Mama Winnie Mandela, her birthday is on the 26th of September. So we always respect her and we look at her as an icon. And then we are just seeing some very interesting cultural, traditional clothing and dress and costume and design and beauty. Thank you. And so, Sis Florence, I think you saw all those beautiful clothing. And every time you wear any of your beautiful clothes, I'm like, please, I need that. So today I wore my heritage, which is Indian. At Torres, you can see my South African Indian clothing. I was on set earlier today and I was wearing Nigerian. And as you know, I wear all different clothes from the continent of Africa in particular. But I thought today I would wear Indian because I was expecting you, Sis Florence, to be wearing your beautiful clothes from Venda. So here we are. I showed the pictures. But I see it in the back there. I see it there. You've got to show it. Yes, please.
At all times. At all times.
At all times.
Forever with this, because this is me.
That's it. Perfect. Thank you. And so we'd like to start with you. Please contextualize for us as we moved, you know, from 94 into the new South Africa and how the icons have changed. But you in particular have kept your tradition, your culture, your voice that is so strong.
You see, moving out of 94, we have to contextualize what happened with the cultural heritage of Africans in this country in the years before. We need to contextualize what happened to our cultural heritage during the years of the missionaries because a big part of colonialization meant religious missionaries coming into our spaces and telling us that wearing this means we are going to hell. Telling us that having the bracelets that I wear at all times means that I'm worshiping the devil. Telling us that using snuff, burning incense, having any cultural rituals meant that we are worshiping the devil and we will burn in hell. It's very important then to remember that many of our people threw away the things that are very dear to them. That today I sit and have to teach my own people, Lavenda, the importance of this and the significance of the different colors and the shapes of the dresses that we wear. As we speak now, the men in my culture do not have a dress because they lost it, because they ran and wore pants and suits. That for them to have anything that has meaning culturally today, they have to put a little bit of this cloth on their shirts or their suits. But the truth is, there is no record for them, no visual record of what their forefathers wore, except for the clothes of the kings. So it's very important for us to know that heritage is something deeper than just music. Heritage is something deeper than just dance. Heritage is something deeper than gimmicks. It is something that was ruthlessly taken out of our hands due to the power of colonialism and apartheid. And when we affirm ourselves and our colors on a daily basis, it is not just us saying we look beautiful when we are like this. It is us reminding ourselves and each other that it's important for us to always remember who we are, where we are from, and how hard our forebears had to fight for us to retain the identity that we have today and our heritage.
Since Florence, I'm also interested because your space, your voice as a performer, as an actress, we looked in fact at a piece of your production from Aluwani. I hope that Justine, we can see that little clip. I want you to talk to us about how important that story was, and then to tell us about the work that you have done to fight for actors' voices, for their spaces, and for their rights. You have been a true champion.
So I always refer to Aluwani as my greatest love letter to my culture. Because, you know, South Africa is a country that has a multiple of cultures. I think we are known mostly for Zulu culture because of AmaZulu and King Shaka. Then we are known for the Xhosa people because of Tatu Nelson Mandela and Oliver Tambo and them. Then we are known for Basotho because of Kgosi Moshoeshoe. People will know us in smaller bits because of the Tswana culture. People will know the Ndebele culture beautifully so because of Gogo Esther Mahlangu. There isn't enough that is documented and said about my people, Bavenda. The people of King Makado, the people of King Toyando, the people of Chiwabusiku Ramapurana. There isn't a lot said about us. We are the furthest north on the map, and we are the place where the colonialists arrived last. Because of that, we held on to our heritage and our cultures very strongly. So even once the missionaries and the Bible had arrived, many of us still held on to the bits that had been eroded elsewhere. And when Erewhoni came as a piece of film to be made, it was very important for me because one, it was influenced by a book written in the 50s by a man who was a teacher, Titus Ntsieni Maumela. He wrote the story of Erewhoni then because as a teacher, he was frustrated with having no literary works to teach for children who had to learn the language Tshivenda as a subject. The only thing available was biblical text. And Erewhoni was the first ever piece written and published in the literary sphere. And it was very important then for me and for Nchabeni Ruruli to put this piece of work together and give the very first feature film in the language of Tshivenda based on that very first piece of literary work.
We've got a little clip which we're going to show right now. And it was also our Oscar contender, if I recall. I was on the jury at the time, and I really, really, really loved it. So let's see, it's a very short clip.
One time when I knew I've reached a point of no return was after I did Erewhoni, because for the first time, I had an opportunity to represent who Florence is in a role that wasn't necessarily Florence, but it was a story that had been yearning to be told, and I went for it, and it changed me and changed my outlook on how I choose the jobs that must come my way. I'm at a point now when I can say, if it's not resonating with Florence, I'd rather not do it. I'd rather wait and write another role that's going to touch me as well as Erewhoni did.
Wow, and that's quite a sacrifice to make. I mean, how did you solve that dilemma? Was there a time when you just felt like you had to just take every role that came your way?
Look, when I was a younger actor, you take whatever your agent sends you to. So you do things. And for the longest time, I was just taking roles. I was taking roles because the character seemed cool, and I got up and I did it. And I'm multilingual, so I speak everybody else's language in everything I do. But I had never truly got an opportunity to do a beautiful piece for myself and my people in my own language.
Thank you. I think, Florence, that was so important that you found your voice in this particular film. And then you went on to fight for the voices of all the other actors. And I think we just need to spend a minute on that. Just tell us about that process.
Well, you know, South Africa is a country in which exploitation and the taking away of people's rights across the board has been part of the normal for far too long. The field of film and television is one where the rights always belonged with the people on top. So there is no royalties regime in this country for an actor. You were talking in your opener about the Kardashians staying with us for 20 years. They will stay with us for as long as they want to and be paid for all the repeats of their work, and I call it work, ouch, across the world, because it's there and they have royalties rights. In South Africa, however, I, as a performer, do not have these rights. My fellow actors do not have these rights. We have a show from the late 90s, As Good Is Nice, being one of the top shows on primetime television on SABC1 in our country. And not a single actor there is making money out of it. Yet the South African Broadcasting Corporation continues to clock high ratings and big time advertising in those slots, repeating the work of actors who are mostly late, and not a cent goes to their estate because the producers and the broadcasters in this country, the broadcasters specifically, have told actors over and over, you can't argue with me about royalties. There is no law in our country forcing me to pay you. And it was on hearing that from Mnet years back that I decided in my little corner, I must do something to make sure that we change this. The rest is history. We fought to have the Copyright Amendment Bill closely tied with the Performance Protection Amendment Bill, took it to Parliament. The National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces said yes to it. The president said no. We know who he's listening to. He sent it back for constitutionality concerns. It's back in the National Assembly, not because the policy decisions in it need to be changed, but because it needs to be put in line with the Constitution. And when it comes out, he better sign fast so that the dignity of the South African actor can be secured.
Thank you. I think that is so important because today, as it is Heritage Day, many of the performers have been talking about the fact that you keep repeating our content, but you do not pay for it. And so I want to come to you, Meta, because I think the work that you are doing is phenomenal. You have just hosted this amazing symposium at the Hong Kong Baptist University, talking about arts, culture during the time of COVID. But we are really impressed by you and the work that you do. So we're going to start with you. We do have your PowerPoint, which Justine will start showing, but please introduce yourself and tell us about your amazing work.
Thank you so much, Firdaus. It's such a pleasure to be here with everyone tonight. Yes, I'm based in Hong Kong, and I have indeed just hosted this conference. I'm at Hong Kong Baptist University, which is one of 8 universities in Hong Kong. Originally from Denmark, I've been in Hong Kong since 2001. And Hong Kong Baptist University is a very special place because the creative arts are at the absolute core of what we do. So here's just a quick overview of the different research centers and departments that we have in the Faculty of Arts. And I just want to highlight for you that here we have, Chinese language and literature, English language and literature, humanities and creative writing. We have some 23 creative writers in our faculty spread across these 3 departments. So there's an enormous emphasis on creative writing, but there's also a very, very strong emphasis on music. Our music staff include composers, conductors, and practitioners that go on to be leading performers, not only on the stage in Hong Kong, but also globally. Our strategic direction for the faculty again emphasizes art and culture. You can see here that creativity, self and society is one of the groups that ties us together across the faculty. And if we go to the next slide, you'll see also that we have had a number of signature events in recent times that have involved not only the people in the faculty who are working with the creative arts, but also partnerships with artists elsewhere. This particular, if we could just go back and stay for 1 minute on the AI and ethics, this was a collaboration with the French artist Yves Gély, whom you see in the picture here, and the focus was on social robotics, because my faculty has been asked by the university to lead an initiative focusing on artificial intelligence and ethics, and there's a whole context for why we've been asked to do that. So this was an exhibition of work by the French artist Yves Gély, focusing on social robotics, robots in care homes, hospitals, and so on. And what was especially wonderful about this particular occasion was that we got the students in creative writing and also the composers, the students studying composition, to write new work in response to Yves Gély's work. So that was very special. And then the picture at the bottom there also captures some of Hong Kong's most important artists, Juno Mak, Kei Zhi, who had just who's an amazing singer and actress who had just performed the role of a robot in a piece of creative writing by one of our creative writers, Chow Yu-Fai. Yes, if we go to the next slide, here, this is the conference that Firdaus was alluding to. We were grappling with COVID a lot sooner than other parts of the world, and rather early on, the citizens of Hong Kong, it wasn't the government, but the citizens of Hong Kong knew what to do and fought to close the border to mainland China, also insisted that the government was wrong when they said that there was no need to wear masks, and so general masking was adopted throughout the Hong Kong space very, very quickly as a result of citizen action. It became apparent to us as COVID started to spread elsewhere in the world, and especially as we watched what was happening in the West, that there really was a need for a conversation about culture, culture as what allows, what was enabling the virus to spread, but also culture as what was allowing us to come together and to sustain ourselves during this very difficult period. The next slide was supposed to be a little video. I'm not sure whether it is playing. Does it work, the link, Justine? Maybe not.
Oh no, there's it.
Yeah,
What am I doing now? I'm on Zanzibar, where I'm drawing on my research on talent development on a global north, global south basis to design a cultural program for our students in the Faculty of Arts. We're going to be bringing 3 students from each of our departments to the Zanzibar International Film Festival and to the Dow Academy of Music in the
So this is a little video. We have short little videos for everybody in the faculty. If we go to the next slide, please, Justine. And that was a little video that captured my plans to bring 18 students from Hong Kong to Zanzibar to collaborate with creative writers there, musicians, composers, and so on. We were supposed to have gone in July 2020, and unfortunately our plans were scuppered by COVID. And of course I wanted to have this little clip in there as well, because this is where I met Firdaus. It was at the Zanzibar International Film Festival in 2019 when I was on Zanzibar to basically design this cultural program. So we will be, I hope, going to Zanzibar in 21 with 18 young Hong Kongers who will be twinned with young Zanzibaris. We'll develop friendships, lasting friendships across cultures, across borders, and hopefully our initial collaboration on Zanzibar will also lead to collaboration that will take place in Hong Kong, where we'll be able to bring young creatives from Zanzibar and East Africa to Hong Kong. So this is something that I'm really, really looking forward to seeing happen. We have promised everybody who had signed up for the program that although we weren't able to go in 2020, whether they graduate or not, they will retain a place on the program. And so this is something that's really sort of tying us together, and is a very hopeful moment for us right now in these otherwise rather dark times.
Lovely. That's going to be very exciting.
And do I still have a couple of minutes, or just
yeah,
a split second? Yeah. Today was a very special day for us. We launched our new Chinese Writers Workshop. We have had an international writers workshop that has been running for over a decade. And today, with the help of the Tin Ka Ping Foundation, which has given us a very, very substantial donation, we've been able to establish a Chinese writers workshop, which will fund a writers in residence program for Hong Kong writers, and for Chinese language writers, a separate writers in residence program, and which also funds a distinguished writers series. So today we inaugurated our Chinese writers workshop with the distinguished writer Chen Xue, who is from Taiwan, and she, we were supposed to bring her, of course, to Hong Kong. We couldn't do this. This became an online event, but she was with us, giving a wonderful talk about her work. Perhaps I should just mention her story, The Mark of the Butterfly, which was adapted into a movie called Butterfly, which was directed by the Hong Kong director Yan Mak. But anyway, we were absolutely thrilled to have Chen Xue with us and to be able to inaugurate this new workshop. Thank you.
Wow, congratulations. That's absolutely wonderful. I think part of this conversation is also to see the linkages with all of us here. And Florence, hopefully you will go to Hong Kong with all your amazing work. Ettore, we come to you. So I've known Ettore for a very long time, and Ettore has been in South Africa. In fact, he came just before or during, just before the elections, Ettore. That's when you came to South Africa.
Just a few days before election. No, I was there for election. You remember?
Yes, absolutely.
And, I went away some days after. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've kept in touch all these years because Ettore is a journalist, a writer, creative person who does very interesting things. And I really wanted him to be part of the conversation, to share with us, because we know the challenges in Italy. We know that COVID, in a way, we were all glued to our televisions when we watched what was happening in Italy, Ettore. As you know, we were connecting with people, trying to find out. But your work kind of spans not only the news, but also the creative side of things. So I'd like you to tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do. And I was just fascinated that just one of your little online content was actually shown. I think, Myra, if you put yourself on mute, just so that we go into Ettore. But I wanted to say, Ettore, that you had 275,000 views on the one little online that I watched. So just talk to us about your work.
Well, it's a long story. But anyway, journalism is a very poor job now in this period now, because sometimes I think that it's useless. I mean, maybe we don't need journalists anymore. It's so frustrating sometimes to make this job in this time, because your voice is just one of the million voice, and you miss your weight, your importance in this world. So it's very important. For example, the school that is making Mate is right, the name.
Yes, Mate.
Yeah, for example, to the language, to the word, to have some attention to the words. because I think that we watch too much video. I am a television journalist, but I hate television. I mean, we look too much video. We are dependent from video. And what is happening, by my opinion, is that we are missing a part important of our process of thinking. To think, we need words, and we need to put words in consequence. And we don't do it anymore because video is an effect on our instinct and is much more direct on our brain, and it change everything. It leave us more few time to think about what we have around us. So it's very difficult to make this job now. It's very difficult to manage with words. And you feel that the value of this job is always is less important in the world. What I try to do is to put, there are two things that I do that are more important for me. The first, you know, Firdows, is to work with children, with young people, because I think that we have to do, you know, we are talking about heritage, and I think that the millennials especially, they have some fantastic values, fantastic ideas and visions, just because they live in this time. But maybe we have to do, we must be more generous with them, judge less them, and help them to build the new world with the values that come from our world, analogic world, and maybe they need a part of that.
Can we show, we have the waiting room that you sent us. We want to show a clip.
Yes.
Can we show that? Okay. Justin, could we just show that? Because I'd like, Ettore, you have to talk to us about this, because
this is the last idea. I mean, this is a format.
But I'm only going to show 1 minute, so you can come in with this, and then we'll also show the other one with your online content. Let's go for it.
E allora noi vogliamo dedicare un po' del nostro tempo a parlare con voi, perché questo è il vero scopo di questa sala d'attesa.
Per la verità abbiamo compiuto le più grandi stragi della storia. La verità ammazza.
Quindi probabilmente non c'è mai stato un tempo della verità.
Ci siamo fatti riempire soltanto da ciò che ci piaceva e ormai siamo carenti di coscienza critica.
Perché non imponiamo l'interoperabilità dei social network?
Guglielmo Tell è geniale.
Non sei d'accordo con me? Ti banno.
Le fake news sono i mezzi di costruzione della realtà.
Leggere, amare, aiuta a star bene, soprattutto visioni e chimere. Essere sordi può essere un bene, ma guasta la vista e attira le iene.
In questo momento si parla moltissimo di fact-checking.
Un algoritmo avrà delle zone grigie di verità o di falsità che non può raggiungere.
Dove inizia il nostro potere di connessione, inizia il pericolo sulla nostra libertà individuale.
Siamo automatici di risposte.
This is the format that I'm working. This is my last idea that I'm working a lot with that, because it's a talk show. Nothing more, nothing less than a talk show, but with some, I try to put some new ideas in talk show, because talk show is only words. And if you only talk to, especially to young people, they get bored very soon, and you lose their attention. So what I try to do is to put together, to try to speak together to the brain and to the heart, to the emotion and to the brain, because I think this the only way is this one. I mean, we have to find a new way to talk to each other, and I think there is not enough. Is not.
So I want them to see this other clip where even though you say you are tired of what you do is amazing, and that 275,000 people watching it.
Yeah, but now after I explain you why.
Okay, let's show it and then you tell us.
Ciao a tutti quanti. Allora, ho deciso di fare questo video perché mi sto cominciando un pochino veramente a rompere le scatole. Circolano continuamente video, fotografie, titoli di giornali, in cui, soprattutto nei giornali del nord, in cui siamo accusati, noi napoletani, noi del sud, di stare in mezzo alla strada, di non rispettare le regole e di in qualche modo continuiamo a essere rappresentati come il sud zozzone, il sud ignorante. Per carità, abbiamo tantissimi problemi, non ci mancano i problemi, però questa narrazione è veramente insopportabile. Nei giorni scorsi, in particolare ieri e l'altro ieri in particolare perché è cominciato il bel tempo ed è cominciato dovunque, le stesse immagini di tanta gente in strada c'erano a Bologna, c'erano a Firenze e c'erano in altre città, tanto che addirittura i sindaci, il sindaco di Firenze che ho sentito ieri per radio, il presidente della regione Emilia Romagna Bonaccini hanno fatto.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Talk to us.
This video has been so popular because the reason was the same that I was telling you before. It was a video against my colleagues, against fake news, against all the same stereotypical way of saying the same things in the same way. And in that case, especially, we was in the middle of the crisis of the pandemic, and I was working in the street as a journalist, trying to see what happened in a town that was really empty. And the newspaper of north of Italy published pictures and photographs of years ago with all the Napolitan people in the street, just to say that we are not
following the rules.
Yeah, we don't follow the rules, and just because I don't know what you know about the struggle north and south of Italy, but it's a long story.
Yes.
And what happened there? That all the people of south of people finally they had a voice.
Yes.
So I could speak for them, and I invite my colleagues, especially my colleagues of north of Italy, to be honest. That's it. And that was very popular, just because the people is fed up of the same story. You know, when you have a name, it's difficult that people call you with another name. If for centuries they call you with that name, it's the same for South Africa, I think. No, it's the same for China. It's the same for many other cultures. You know, it's difficult to go out to
break that. Yes.
Stereotypes.
Yes. Thank you, Ettore. I think that was for me in a very deep and profound way. It is about heritage. It's about you taking the voice of the south, of the people of the South, and showing up what is important. Yeah. And therefore it comes very nicely to you, Mr. Rufus, because as you sit in the US and we see all of Africa around you, and I love your kente cloth, we are fascinated that you have continued the history, the culture, the heritage of Africa, and that is what you share with the people in your country. Before we start with you, we have a little clip from Kim when she visited you last week. Can we please show that clip?
So now we are here on our tour of Washington, D.C. as a part of the She Rose Work Retreat 2020. And we would be remiss not to include, as a part of that tour, a stop at 3807 New Hampshire Avenue, Jah Kente International, with our curator, Mr. Rufus T. Stevenson, for the Jah Kente Chafing Collection. So as you can see, I am holding his historic 7 Voices of Africa, the story of our people from prehistoric through modern day and a trajectory for the future. And I am surrounded by incredible pieces of art from across the world and the continent of Africa. Take in the 360.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. So, Mr. Rufus, tell us about your work.
Well, I thank you, my sister, very much for inviting me to be a part of this presentation. It's an honor, and I'm very proud to be here. I am an African cultural evangelist. And I say that to give you a little brief sketch of my past, is that I was the first Morehouse College graduate to join and serve in the Peace Corps in West Africa, in Africa, to join the Peace Corps. And then I served in Vietnam as with the military. And then I joined the State Department, and I became a diplomat with the US State Department in Africa and in England. I took all of that exposure about 45 years ago. I was stationed in Mali, West Africa, the first televised drought. And as a result of my experience there, I realized and learned to appreciate the powerful heritage that our ancestors, African ancestors, had left us. And as a result, I harnessed the moment in Mali during that televised drought. And I decided that I would spend the rest of my life nurturing the conscious spirit of my people, especially the ones in the diaspora. And now is, whether you're in Africa and in the diaspora, our spiritual and our conscious is in need of being reclaimed. So in Mali, 45 years ago, I seduced myself into the African spirituality, and I collected African art, textiles and sculpture to bring back to America. That was before the US Smithsonian Museum had an African museum. And since that time, I have been, I started out at the very bottom there, and to build myself up from a foundation that I had to create. So I don't know, there aren't many Pan-African cultural evangelists around, but I've spent my life, past 45 years, nurturing just that. Many major exposures has helped me to continue on this path. For example, Kim, who just spoke, I met her in 2011 in Egypt. We had joined the excavation team of Anthony Tony Browder, who is excavating for the past 11 years, have been excavating the tomb of Karakamun in Valley of the Kings. And Karakamun was a priest at the temple of Karnak during the 25th dynasty. And he, along with 2 other Kushite tombs, are found in the Valley of the Kings. And so I met Kim there, and as a result of our experience there excavating this tomb, 5 voices were revealed to me. And from 2011 until 2015, every time I decorated, like the Kennedy Center, I must say that for 11 consecutive years, I took my African textiles and from the sculpture gallery and the textile gallery, and I dressed the Millennium and the Grand Concert Hall at the Kennedy Center for the spirit of Kwanzaa. So from 2011, 2015, it was only the 5 voices of Africa. And in 2016, I gave my first international talk as a cultural evangelist at the 3rd International Conference on Ethiopia, its historical, biblical, and cultural roots. And at that conference, we traveled from Addis Ababa all the way to Lalibela and to Aksum. And 2 voices were revealed to me. So there are 6 voices now. There are 6 voices now. So without me going into details, telling you about the 7 voices from pre-biblical time to the present, I just wanted to take this time to just give you a little gist of exactly what my life has been all about. And as Florence was talking about the heritage in South Africa, of course, we as African Americans in the diaspora now are filled with energy in terms of trying to create, reach back and fetch a cultural renaissance for Mother Africa. And this is what I'm all about. And I thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you so much. I think it always warms our hearts that there are people everywhere who are looking after us and our story. So Bruno, and that's where I come to you, because that's exactly what you continue doing, even though as a Latin American, you see Africa as part of your work. You need to tell me about all these connections that you've kept going. And so I'm going to just hand over to you. We have a link, I think, to show. Justin, can we see what Bruno had sent for us, please?
Depois de capturado, minha terra vou deixar. Eu agora sou escravo, indo pra qualquer lugar. Dentro de navio imundo, só querem nos humilhar.
Eu vi no Baquaqua.
Wow.
Thank you, first of all, for having me here. Such an amazing team. So many different time zones in just one screen.
Yeah.
Yes, I am originally from Northeast Brazil, from Pernambuco. But a couple years ago, I moved to Canada to do my PhD in history of Africa, under Professor Paul Lovejoy. And here I am, has been, now I am in my sixth year of PhD. I should be finishing this very soon. And I would say my part of my career is dedicated to really try to, how can I say, to bridge scholarship, historical knowledge, and art production. In using creative ways, different kinds of medias, artistic medias, to bring historical knowledge to a broader public. And so yes, how can I say? I would say, as a person from Brazil, thinking about heritage and all these things that we have been talking in these last minutes, in this last almost 1 hour, I would say we cannot talk about Brazil and heritage and history without talking about Africa, without talking about West Africa, West Central Africa, some parts even of East Africa during the era of the slave trade era. And Brazil was the country which received most of the enslaved Africans, the enslaved people from the African continent between the 16th century up to middle 19th century. Like 40% of everybody sent from Africa to the Americas, they were sent to Brazil. And also, like, to give us an idea of this heritage and the contribution of Africa to our population up to 1850, when Brazil finally abolished the trade, not slavery. We were the last country to abolish slavery itself. But up to 1850, for every 8 Africans being sent to Brazil, just 1 European arrived in Brazil. So these numbers come from studies from Luis Felipe Lencastre, amazing historian. So analyzing all the records, he figured out this balance of 8 to 1 European coming from Portugal, coming from Netherlands, and as in the case in the Northeast. So the historical, the cultural role of Africa in Brazil is key. We can also point it out in an ironic way that like in Brazil, we think that we were colonized by the Portuguese, but maybe this is not true at all when we're thinking about 8 to 1. So our food, our culture, the way I speak Portuguese, like the phonetics of my Portuguese, that's very different of the Portuguese from Portugal. Is connected to Angola, is connected to Congo, spiritualities. So we cannot talk about Brazil without talking about Africa. And this is what I try to bring for my research. That is about a very specific part of Africa, is the hinterlands of Nigeria, the northeast part of Nigeria, exactly where now the Boko Haram, like the terrorist group, is creating something awful. But this region of northeast Nigeria also had an important contribution to Brazil, to the Caribbean, to North America. That was the Muslim African diasporas during the age of the slave trade. So another piece, another small video that I also sent to you, and I say sorry for sending all that messy emails full of links. It's about one of the rebellions.
Did you just send it? Is it part of the original links?
Yes.
We'll see if Justine is able to find it.
Okay, so is a one. I think it's the first link about the Malay revolt.
Okay. All right. We'll try to find that one. I think what is important is the connection, as you say. You know, as you all talking, Mete, I realize you came to Zanzibar, Ettore came to South Africa, you came, you know, so this connection is just fascinating. I hadn't even thought about it as I planned this discussion. So, well, Myra,
it's always very frustrating because you always want to meet the people. I mean, I would like to see you and to touch you, all of you.
touch.
Yeah.
touch.
I mean, we cannot live our life in a box, in a computer, in a video. This is my idea. We have to touch each other. We have to work with. I mean, this is life. We are human. We are not robots.
We are still human, and we're going to dance Jerusalem just now before we end. I want to come to Myra. Myra, I met you in Moscow. So the other interesting thing is I met most of you. So Myra, we were there talking about film. And Sis Florence, for you to know that we had one an award at the Moscow Festival. It was on the Detective Film Festival, and Faith's film, The Algiers Murders, won there. And Myra, you were so amazing. And then I follow you on Facebook, and I see all of the stuff that you're doing, intercultural, cross borders, as a producer. Please tell us about your amazing work. And I think we just have one little link of you. I know you sent us 3 videos, but we kept one that we'd like to show just before you start, if that's okay.
First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Spencer for having us here. Yeah, it's a good opportunity for us, and I'm so honored. And it's a good opportunity not only for me, for my country as well. It's appreciation of my culture, of my history. In this film, you can feel whole history of our life. It's after the Second War time. And I hope you feel some flavor of my country watching this film. And that's why I can say it's a good opportunity for us to be here. And thank you, Marat, as well, as a creative, from the Creative Guild, to give us chance to have this festival during your festival as well. And this, my name is Koja. It's an iconic film, and its director is my father-in-law, Abdullah Karsakbayev, and we have streets named after my father-in-law's name in my country, and the school's streets named after his name. And he's most nominated and most screened. All of his films, he made 8 films, and all 8 films kept on Golden Fund in Moscow. It belongs not only to Kazakhstan, to Soviet Union country. All his 8 films, and yes, he's most nominated iconic film director.
Thank you. Thank you.
First of all, Firdaus, I'm happy to see you, and thank you very much for inviting. When I met first you, and I felt that I knew you for a long time. And just listening Florence, I understand why I felt on that way. Because we are similar. Kazakhstan and South Africa, similar. Do you know why? Because we used to live under Russian Empire. And from my childhood, I felt, in my country, I felt second-rate person. In my country. And Florence said that as when they wear bracelet, and people who came to their country, they said they are worshiping devil. In my country, in my childhood, when I spoke Kazakh, my language, I was treated like I'm insulting Russian in my country. Living in my own country, I felt I'm a second-rate person. That's why I think I understand South Africans, Kazakhstan, South Africans, they have a similar. Thanks to God, we are independent now, and we speak Kazakh, our language and our culture. We are keeping our culture. It's good for us. And talking about my work, I used to live in Canada, in Vancouver. We immigrated there. And we came back because my husband didn't want to live there. And here I am distributing Turkish films in Kazakhstan, A-class Turkish films in Kazakhstan. I am a distributor of Turkish films in Kazakhstan. And I am producing co-productions, and I'm developing one co-production with Italy. And I met with Michela Placida and Riccardo Scamarcio. I met them, and we are going to make one co-production film. And also, I'm bringing Hollywood films to shoot in Kazakhstan. I brought Marco Polo film to Kazakhstan to shoot, and brought 2 Bollywood films to shoot in Kazakhstan. And I'm working in international, and I love all of you because I understand all cultures, I think everyone, especially cultural people, they have to be a voice of their culture, voice of their heritage. And we are voice because we are media people. We are producing films, distributing films, and we have a chance to talk to all nationalities, and that's why we have to keep our culture, our uniqueness, our culture, and
Thank you. Yes, and I think that is so important because you are proud of your culture, but you are bringing other people in and out so that you are exchanging culture, you're exchanging, which is important. And that's how we get to know each other better. And so I think we met a very long time ago. I don't know, more than 15 years maybe. But I've always followed you and followed your work, and very, very proud of you for the work that you do. And also as a female, I think this is really important. That you've got that strong partnership. Thank you so much, Myra, for joining us.
Thank you very much, Firdaus, for inviting. I'm just so excited and so happy. And let's make co-productions with your country, with Italy, with other countries.
Absolutely.
I can provide whatever you need in my country.
Yes, we will do that. Bruno, we've got your clip. We've got your clip, the Mali clip. So let's have a look at that clip, please.
Ó povo do livro, comprometamo-nos a não adorarmos senão Allah.
Mãe, será que isso no seu rosto nunca vai sair?
Essas marcas não foram feitas para sair, minha filha. Isso diz de onde eu venho.
Lutamos para sobreviver nessa terra de branco desde o dia que desembarcamos.
Esse aqui aguenta 16, 17 horas de trabalho duro.
Nos esforçamos para manter as nossas tradições. Apesar do chicote, dos açoites, do castigo. Da pura maldade.
A sua filha pode fechar com chave de ouro meu lote. E olha que ainda nem virou moça, né?
É hora de reagir. De Salvador até o fim do recôncavo, vamos libertar homens, mulheres, crianças, velhos, e depois o poder vai ser nosso.
Eu queria te dar o maior presente que alguém poderia ter. Vá e seja livre.
Mas aqui em Salvador não vai ficar um para contar a história. A Bahia vai ser muçulmana. A Bahia vai ser Imalê.
O delegado já sabe da nossa rebelião. Eu precisava salvar minha filha, Vitória, você sabe.
Você é uma Imalê.
You'd like to say something? Yes.
Absolutely. So just also contextualizing the previous video, I'm just a boring historian and a producer. I'm not an artist. I'm not an actor. I don't have any talent regarding that, but I'm good with like connecting things. The previous video is a video produced by Leticia Yaba about a theater performance on a person called Bakwakwa. That is really interesting. If I were you, I would type on Google B-A-Q-U-A-Q-A. And we have a public history project about this man. He was born in what is today the Republic of Benin, and he was enslaved in Brazil. He found a way to escape to US, to Haiti. He became an abolitionist, from slavery to abolitionist. This video is a production from Giros. That's is a production company from Rio de Janeiro. And actually, this movie was one of the finalists for the International Black Film Festival in US a couple months ago. It is about a Muslim African rebellion that happened in Brazil and was the most important urban slave rebellion in the history of the Atlantic. After this rebellion, you would see like newspaper ads in France, in England, in US, and now I'm getting to search more in Italy, in Rome, to see if I see like the priests and the bishops reporting back to the Pope to see what they talk about this rebellion. So this is also about my research, transnational history of the African diaspora in Brazil, but also like all around the world. So yes, and as a historian, I would say, okay. I talk too much.
No, thank you so much. You know, the time goes by so quickly. I think we all have so much to share, and that for the people who are watching, we like this to just be a taste. And we hope, as you say, people start to find some of these stories elsewhere, and that we hopefully inspire people to work together, to learn a bit more, to know about each other's heritage and culture. At this point, Justine, you could just put those pictures. Today, Sis Florence, I was on Jamil Kubeka's set. As you might know, he's making a story about us as Africans, but he starts in Egypt. And I had taken Jamil to Egypt a few years ago, and he is now completely mesmerized by that history. And this is the important thing, that a trip or a photograph or a story can inspire you to go out and to really find out about who you are, about your heritage, about your culture, about your people. Thank you, about your community. And so I pay homage to young Jamil Kubeka, who, as you know, is winning awards all over. But our challenge is always that there is no budget. We're always fighting to make sure that the money comes in so that we can tell these important stories. But Ettore, even when we can't do that, we do it the way that you do. You know, you take your camera, you do it online, you get the story, hopefully 275,000 people are watching it and realizing that some of the stuff is BS and they need to go out and check it out. So when I end the program, I ask people to say what F, for me, you know, it's the F show. And F is for my name. But F is for Florence, F is for Firdaus, but F for me is for freedom. So as I go around, I give you each a chance to say your final words and then tell me what F is for you. So I will start with you, Florence.
F is for Florence. I think F is for the freedom to be. Because when you're free to be what you came into this earth as, you give the best of yourself to those that come across you. I can't give the best of me to someone sitting in Italy, to someone sitting in Brazil, to someone sitting in the United States, in Kazakhstan. I can't share me when I don't feel free to be myself. So the importance of knowing my heritage in my part of the world comes with knowing that I have the freedom to show up as Florence, a princess from a Venda kingdom, one who knows exactly who her forebears were and what to give over to the generations to come. Freedom to be.
Nete, what is F for you? I think you're on mute.
Sorry about that. F is definitely for Firdaus, but maybe it's also for frank and open conversations, sincere conversations, being able to talk across cultures and to meet each other with great openness. So frankness would be my word.
Mr. Rufus, what is F for you and what are your closing remarks?
I think that when I think about F, I think about, as Florence said, freedom. And the word freedom, as a cultural evangelist, I focused on, if you haven't heard of the Adinkra symbols from Ghana, West Africa, these are ancient philosophical symbols, and I focus on two. One is this ring here called Jenyame, God is king, the omnipotence and omnipresence of God. And the second one is this little bird here, with the bird turn around, touching the back. It means reach back and fetch it. So everywhere I go, I always give these little birds out. And it means that reach back and fetch that ancient spirituality that governed the lives of our ancestors during the known 4 golden ages in Africa, the Nile civilization. Reach back and fetch it. And that spirituality is called Ma'at, M-A-A-T. And it means truth, justice, righteousness, balance, harmony, order, and reciprocity. So be free to reach back and reclaim that part of you that you know is your best.
Thank you. Ettore, what is F? And watch what you say. Oh, yay! Mwah, 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 mwah.
Gabriele is not F, it's G, but it doesn't matter.
Hi, Gabriela.
F for me is fight. Is fight, because we don't stop to fight. This world is very beautiful, and the concept of freedom is changed. We all think to be free, but deeply you really feel to be free. I mean, it's a question that I put to the young people, to everybody. I think that technologies and the world of technology that we are going is limiting our freedom, because the algorithm, you understand? Yes. Put our life on, on an iron. And
Yes.
This is very dangerous for us. We have to be awake. We have to be always with the brain very active, because otherwise we are slave in another way. We have no chains, but we are slave anyway. So fight for me is the word that I give to the young people especially.
Myra.
For me, F is famous.
I love that.
We started from Firdaus, Florence, Frank, White, and one day we become a famous show.
Yes. Bruno, what is F for?
F for fire. Fire. On racism, fire on colonial mindset, fire on these growing right-wing neoliberal politics that we can see in my country, that we can see growing in Europe, in the US, and that our art and the things we are producing should be fire, should be like a radical tool to change that, to be fire against racism, to be fire against colonial mindset, and so on.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Fantastic to Bruno.
Fantastic to Bruno. So I want to thank you all, my wonderful guests. Thank you for staying awake, Mette. Now you can go to sleep. And Myra, and I think Bruno, your day only starts, you and Mr. Rufus. It's only 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Thank you, Sis Florence. I know you've had a busy day, Heritage Day and then Heritage Month. But I thank you all for being with me, having this conversation, and let's look for collaboration and partnerships going forward. Bye. Bye, Gabriela. Ciao.
Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, Bella.